How does it feel to be on this side of sobriety with like the knowledge that you have about how God really sees you, about who you really are and your purpose, and to be on this side of it with the ability to create and give back?
I love that question, because so part of my world was defining God. Like, I read the scriptures. I can read them in English or Chinese. Tricky. And I read them from cover to cover in both languages. And so you talk about like, John's the same story. Like, he went and got a degree in psychology and did all the things, like the know better, do better type thing. So this, for me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm like an expert in scriptures. Like, what do you need to know? I'll tell you all about God, right? And that pompous ego, pride thing that was like, yeah, I know all about God, and if you want to know about him, just ask me. And like John says, turns out I didn't know shit about God. And the amazing thing about higher power, God, I call him God, whatever, is I have this amazing, limitless, non-definition God in my life that just seems to work miracle after miracle after miracle. And I tell my sponsees and people in the rooms of AA all the time, start noticing your coincidences. Like, for me, being like so religious and then becoming agnostic and atheist and hating God, and God was definitely on my step 4, for sure. And then being able to be like, you know what? Start noticing your coincidences. And what if that's God? I just start there. Like, start little. And damn, those coincidences started adding up.
Yeah.
And I think the more and more you start noticing that, like, it's realizing that I didn't do any of this. God did.
Yeah.
And so for me to be able to give it back, and it's said in AA all the time, the more I try to give it back, the more I get. Yeah. I try to give it away, and I just get back tenfold. And that's how I work my program today.
I think like what you say there is so beautiful, that you had to find a God of your own understanding. Yep. That was so individually, personally yours. And I think that it's this weird phenomenon that I've experienced moving to Utah from California. And I've discovered this whole world, I call it church hurt, right? People that have been hurt being raised in the church, or by people that were representing the church, or just they got hurt from the guilt and the shame that they felt, and that is sometimes prevalent. And it is a challenge to try to figure out who is God according to me.
I love that. And by the way, this is a non-denominational thing. Like, I've got a sponsee who's doing some more research currently, who felt the same way about the Catholic Church. Like, he's from Ireland, and his step 4, his resentments and stuff, were all about like the shame and guilt that he felt from that culture. I have Southern Baptist friends that have the same thing. And so we go through, like, you know, like the way that you're defining God is like really putting limits on that God. Yeah. Like, your finite brain cannot understand God. So stop trying to define it.
And certainly let go of other people's definitions.
For sure.
Yeah.
Experience God for yourself, you know, and then see what it brings to your life.
Yeah, that's where the miracle happens.
I'm actually keeping myself sober this way. Like, I'm getting a feeling back that's probably way more than what's spewing out of my mouth. But just being able to give that back is part of it. And then, I remember hearing a podcast with somebody that you would know in the industry, and he said, working in this industry doesn't keep you sober.
Right.
Working your own program keeps you sober. Working in this industry is something that we get to do if we maintain that program. And that hit me, because I know a bunch of people that will try to work in recovery because they're like, oh, that will keep me sober, right? But if you haven't done your own work, if you have nothing to give.
Yeah. And you're more dangerous.
Right? The peace and the serenity that I get because I went through the steps and because I still work through the steps is that peace. I can't give it away if I don't have it myself.
Yeah. I love that you say that because I got sober in AA. That is AA is not for everybody, either is treatment. It is the way for me, and thank God for that. But I think that idea that it is not enough just to sit in a meeting.
Yeah.
It is not enough just to say you have a sponsor. It is not, I tell clients this all the time, if you think that you are going to stay sober leaving here just because you put your 30, 60, or 90 days in, you're fucking wrong. This just taking up a space, a seat, a place in the house does not give you sobriety.
Nope.
You will only stay sober if you work while you are here. Work really fucking hard. What are those places and those things that when anybody touches on them that you kind of want to recoil and be like, nope,
no,
not doing that, not talking about that.
Taking that one to the grave.
That's where you need to work. And to be able to work on that in an environment where you can be held and you can be loved and you can be supported, that is a gift that we don't get outside of here, right? And so I always challenge people, where it hurts is the way. The pain is the way.
And for me, that was aiming with the worthiness.
The worthiness.
Yep.
So true. We all have do you have a question or you're giving us back? Yes,
Oh.
Go ahead.
Where's your sign that says shut up?
Yeah, please stop. I have something more important to say. Yes, Melanie.
So since you guys are talking about when you leave a program, it still takes some work.
Yeah.
So maybe Ryan, what's something that maybe you do, you check in with your wife or something like that? What's that talk that you have and how does that look when you're I just feel like drinking? What does that look like?
Well, in all honesty, the compulsion to drink, and I heard it in Maggie's story, was gone a long time ago. And I really believe that came through the steps. The compulsion went a long time ago. The bad days, good days, that type of thing. The way that I put it is, when I was drinking, my only tool in life was alcohol. That's all I knew. So imagine being a general contractor and going to a general contractor with just a hammer. Okay? I mean, you can do some things.
Few.
But now, because of recovery, because of the work I've done, I feel like I have a DeWalt system. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so life is life. It doesn't all of a sudden get there was that pink cloud time, by the way. Everybody feels that, and when you're getting 60, 90 days, you're like, oh yeah, I did it, right? But that pink cloud, the way that I maintain that is I still go to a therapist. Sarah and I still have marriage counseling. Now therapy isn't like a bad word anymore. It's man, every time I go to therapy, I learn something new.
You feel better.
Every time I go to an AA meeting, man, that really hit with me. And I come out there and I feel great. And then when something hard happens, like Morgan County happens, I can go, that's okay. I'm still going to be okay.
Yeah. I love that. I think using the tools that we have is so important. I also think that part of what we do in recovery, whether it's just at meetings or it's in a program, is you start to create your people. You start to find your people around you. And what I do when I struggle, because, right, there are times where I'm like, I am really wanting to drink. Like, my life is hard, and I need a break, and I want to drink. Or other stuff happens, and it's hard, and I just don't know what to do.
Right.
Like, I don't want to drink, but how am I going to get through this? We talked about this a little bit yesterday. It's like, who are your people around you that you can check in with and say, I'm in the fucking shit, and I can't see past what is going on in front of me. What do you see that I don't see? Or please remind me who I am, because right now I feel like I lost that person.
My thing is that, like, recovery can be fun. And that's one thing that, like, pre Spirit Mountain Ryan was like, damn, my life is going to be boring as hell from now on. Like, I just took away all the fun, right? And man, like, you should see some of these people in AA, man. They're crazy as fuck. They're having so much fun in recovery. Hazel has so much fun in recovery. We go boating and we have so much fun in recovery, and nobody's drinking. And it's like, you take that moment and you're like, I don't remember thinking boating could ever be fun, unless I was drinking. And now I'm doing it with a bunch of sober dudes and sober girls, and like, I'm having fun. That's something I would have told my 35-year-old. Like,
I love that.
Turns out it can be fun.
Yeah.
And there's hard days. And one thing that's very helpful, and I would give props to Sarah for this, is she's like a leader of Al-Anon. She goes to the local Bountiful Club and chairs meetings and does her own work and works with sponsees.
I love that.
And so we can have these conversations of like, oh man, today really sucks. Like, I've got a lot on my plate. Today's overwhelming. Like, I don't know how many emails I can possibly get, but there's 175 of them on today's docket. You know, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And she can bounce things off of me, and I can bounce things off of her. And then when she's not available or I'm away from the house, John's there.
Good old John.
Or Ryan Hymas,
Yeah.
who I bounced ideas off of.
Yeah.
Or Corey Markusich, or whoever. Like, that's the thing, is like, my tribe now is 98% in recovery. That's my tribe. And I don't care if that's Al-Anon, I don't care if it's NA, I don't care if it's CA, I don't care what. People that are doing the damn deal, they're my tribe.
Yeah, for sure. What's our time? We are there.
Okay.
We are at our time. Let's thank Brian one more time.